Hey everybody, it's Kerry with the week ahead look for May 10th through the 16th. If you're new to these videos that I make, I put them out on Saturday. Every week I look ahead at the week coming, and I start with Sunday and end on Saturday because that's how I feel like the week goes. These are general readings. It would take a lot for me to go through every single sign and apply what I'm saying to each sign. So if you're curious about your own chart and how these things may affect you, please look into getting a reading with me on a one-on-one reading, and I can help guide you into starting to understand your own chart. All right, so week ahead, we have the last week I called the week riding the calm out. I'm sure for every single one of us it wasn't completely calm, but I was saying that because of a waning moon combined with the moon moving through the signs kind of down here where not any other planets are hanging out. So when the moon is alone, it tends to feel a little bit more calm, relatively. So in the week ahead, we have a lot coming. We have the Aries energy is really starting to ramp up. We've got Mercury and Sun in Aries until Thursday, and then the week starts out with Mars actually moving into Aries, which is going to fire things up. And then Thursday is the big day where Venus, Mercury, and Sun all change signs. And then the week ends up on Saturday with a new moon in the early degrees of Taurus. So that's the overview for the week. I'll go through a few things, and then we'll go through each day by day. Okay, so as I said, the Aries energy is starting to come up. This will go on through from basically Sunday, May 10th, into June. Aries will be strong because Mars will be there. Mars rules Aries. Mars is a fiery planet that rules power. And Aries is his place. It is a fire sign with a fiery planet. And so this could be good energy depending on what your projects are. But if it takes initiative and planning and strategy, Mars is moving into a place to get that going for you. What else? Okay, so the Sun and Mercury, you can see the combination up there in Aries on this chart I'm showing you. Mercury is combust. That means when a planet gets really close to the sun's position in the zodiac and we can't really visually see that planet anymore. Combustion is what we call it in Vedic astrology. Kazimi is what they call it in Western astrology. And I would say Kazimi sounds cooler than combustion if you read the descriptions, because when you read the description of what combustion means when a planet is combust, it sounds like that planet is just destroyed by the sun. I think that's harsh. I don't really feel that way. I feel like the sun is blazing out the planet, but I think of it more as the planet joining into the sun's energy, which beams out pretty far. So maybe we need to work a little harder to express that planet's energy, but I don't think it's gone. Anyway, that's my theory about combustion. So the sun is right with the Mercury. And just as the two are moving over into Taurus on Thursday, Mercury moves right past the sun, like at the same moment. So exciting. You can tell I get excited about these things. So that's happening on Thursday. Earlier on Thursday, Venus, you can see it up in Taurus, is going to move into Gemini, and then it vacates Taurus. The Sun and Mercury move in. Something that's pretty cool that will turn on is a parivartana, or an exchange of signs between Venus and Mercury. So when Venus gets to Gemini, Gemini is Mercury's territory. It's the air sign ruled by Mercury. So when Venus gets there and then Mercury ends up in Taurus, which is Venus's territory, they are doing a timeshare. They're occupying each other's space. That's called parivartana. Parivartana means changing around things. But it creates this condition where both of the planets are strengthened by this new temporary relationship. And Venus and Mercury do this a lot. They do exchanges of signs probably more than any other two planets. But especially when they're transiting through the Taurus-Mercury zones. Taurus, Gemini, and Virgo, Libra. Because Venus and Mercury tend to be close together to each other all the time. And so it's common. I love Mercury-Venus parivartana because I feel like I can get a lot done. It makes me feel like, oh wow, my energy's high, my brain is sharp, I'm going to do all these things, I'm going to connect with people, I'm going to make it fun. So that's turning on starting Thursday. And that will go not too long, through about May 29th, when Mercury will then move into Gemini as well. So think about that. Think about how you want to use that energy in the next couple weeks. It's really good for social business stuff, really good for business stuff. Also really good for educational pursuits, whether you're a student or a teacher. Could be really good energy to get organized, create curriculums, figure out your pathway for your education, prop up your business, do some marketing, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's when the Sun and Mercury move over into Taurus. That will click on. The other things to mention are that this whole week will be the waning moon in its final waning phase for this month. Saturday, the 16th, sees our new moon. So when the moon is waning, you can feel physically tired and mentally a little dull. It's really a nice time to not overbook yourself or plan too many things or attempt to multitask all week long. So take it one step at a time this week. The other part of it is that waning moon during this week is going past difficult planets, in the sense of, if you look here, Rahu and the moon are in Aquarius starting on Sunday. It'll be 2.5 days of moon going past Rahu, and then 2.5 days of moon going past Saturn, and then moon goes past Mars, which that's not as bad. The moon and Mars are good friends. But then the moon will slip into Taurus, joining the sun, and that's the moment of the new moon on Saturday. So it just seems like my overall feeling is, let's not overdo this week. The other layer on that is that we're getting our next pulse of Kala Amrita Yoga. I've talked about that. I made a video about it. I'll put a link for that. I talked about it in my, I think, April and May forecasts. I'll put a link to May forecast as well. But the feeling of Kala Amrita Yoga, or the flip side of it, which is Kala Sarpa Yoga, they're a pair of combinations. When all of the planets are dumped on one side of the nodal axis. In this particular year and case, all the planets they pass by Rahu, and then they're hemmed in between Rahu and Ketu. So this energy kind of pulses on and off because the moon moves out of that bind and then back into it, which is what's happening this week. So that feeling of, I was thinking about it this morning, like, when you're at a concert or a sporting event at a large arena and you have to go get something to drink or use the facilities, the big energy of the game or the concert is going on in the central place, but then you exit, you leave, you walk around the outside, and you find your drinks and your food and your relief, and then you enter back into the big excitement of the concert or the game. That's what it feels like to me. So we've gotten our hot dogs or whatever. I don't eat hot dogs, but we've gotten our stuff, and now we're going back in. That's what it feels like. So the moon passing by Rahu happens on Sunday, and then we keep going. So I'm rambling, but let's not overdo it this week. We're going back in. We don't have a lot of control over the environment. That's what it feels like for Kala Amrita Yoga. Okay, what else do I want to say in general? I'm just reading my notes. Yeah, I think I hit it all. So let's keep going and go through every day, one day at a time. All right, Sunday, the moon has just reached, and I'm always setting you can see, and don't get confused by the date thing. I use non-American style dates. So this is 10th May 2026, and then I have it at 6 a.m., which is about sunrise where I happen to be. So I'm reading these at sunrise, which is the initiation of our day. Of course, the moon might change signs or phases during the day, but just to get a read on the day, I use the sunrise position. Okay, and I'm giving you keywords for every day. That's been a fun thing to do. All right, on Sunday, the 10th of May, the moon is in Dhanishta Nakshatra. The keyword is rhythmic grounding. The symbol for Dhanishta is a drum or a flute. There's rhythm and beat and forward movement that comes with Dhanishta. So rhythmic grounding. The grounding suggestion is coming from, hey, we're about to run into a high tide, and things might move even when we don't want them to. So, and the moon joining Rahu can always be a little chaotic. So what do? We ground. We keep our feet on the ground. So the moon moves past Rahu on this day, and then look at the Mars degree. At the beginning of the day is 29 degrees 24 Pisces. So Mars is moving out of Pisces into Aries on Sunday, the 10th. This does a few things. Number one, it breaks up the Mars and Saturn conjunction. It's been loosening up over the past couple weeks, but that was pressure and friction, and so that might feel relieving for Mars to move into Aries. Although then when I think about that, I think that's a lot of power and energy and possible aggression and getting things done. But it may feel a little bit more peaceful and directed than when Mars was fighting against Saturn. On Sunday, as Mars moves through Pisces into Aries, I want to point out that that is one of the junctures of the zodiac we call Gandanta, which means like a joint, like an elbow. We have a lot of joints in our body that helps us move, but those are also the places that can break most easily. So it's a catch-22 when a planet moves through one of those zones. There's 3 of them in the zodiac. They are between the water sign and then the fire sign adjacent. So every time a planet moves from a water sign to a fire sign, it's moving through this Gandanta energy, which feels like a trial. It's like a squeeze through a small space is what it feels like to me. So on Sunday, Mars is going to be pushing through there, who better than Mars, and into Aries. And as I mentioned before, Mars being in Aries is quite powerful. It could help us gain courage and direction, initiative and strategy. So that's something to account for in the few weeks ahead. Okay, let's move on to Monday. the 11th. This has, we have moon in Shatabishak on that day. Sorry, I have too many windows and a small screen. So the moon is just past Rahu at the beginning of Monday. It's called Shatabishak Nakshatra, which is where Rahu is too. So this could the Monday could feel a little overwhelming, I think, at least at the beginning of it, because of moon joining Rahu. And I will again recall that the Jupiter-Rahu mutual aspect is still going on in the air signs. Jupiter and Rahu have the same way of aspecting. They like to aspect all of the signs of the same element. So this has been going on for a while, ever since Jupiter and Rahu occupied these signs. So not only Aquarius is affected and Gemini, but also Libra. Even though there's nothing in Libra, all those air signs are gaining that. Okay, so my words for Monday are evolved healing. Shatabishak literally means, it means like helping 100 ways. It's translated as 100 healers. To me, I say, look at nature. Healing is all around. There's so many ways that we can find correction and betterment and help for others. So that's to me what Shatabishak means. Like, don't think there's just one way of getting through something or helping another person. Evolved healing. So there's that. Plus, Mars, having just moved into Aries, is also occupying Ashwini Nakshatra, which also has to do with healing. So in the midst of our Kala Amrita Yoga and the waning moon, we could feel drained and tired and stuck and frustrated. So what I'm telling you is look deep, find those ways toward a more calm, peaceful environment inside and outside. So Monday. Let's go to Tuesday. It's May 12th. And moon goes into Purva Bhadra Nakshatra. And this is also Krishna Ekadashi. Krishna means the dark half of the moon. Shukla means the bright half of the moon. We're going with forgive completely as keywords for Tuesday. Forgive completely. This is the day that the moon moves out of Aquarius and into Pisces, which fully clicks in the Kala Amrita Yoga. Because the full expression of that yoga is that all of the 7 visible planets are in those 5 signs between the nodes. So that'll be the official click in on Tuesday. And what else? Oh, this is Purva Bhadra, spans between Aquarius and Pisces. So the waning moon moves away from Rahu and then toward Saturn. So it could feel like a rough start to the week. Forgive completely. Let go of grudges and things that you can't really fix. Clear out your mental and physical space. Figure out what you can control and focus on that, like your own behavior or your own self-care and healing. Forgive completely. All right, Wednesday is the 13th of May. The moon moves into Uttarabhadra Nakshatra, joining Saturn. Words for Wednesday are mystical anchor. The idea of reaching high in a mystical way, but anchoring down deeply is what came to me, because this is the day before Venus, Mercury, and the Sun all shift signs. So we're on a moving train. We got to go whether we're ready or not. dig down, root down, get your stance, and mystically anchor on Wednesday. Think about on Wednesday, because Wednesday's kind of a shaky day anyway. It's Mercury's day. So you can always do a lot of errands and activities on a Wednesday. With that in mind, think about what is true and real and stick to that. Hold on to that. And then let everything else spill off. That's going to spill off because you can't hold everything. That's the energy of Wednesday. Okay, Thursday is the 14th. The moon starts out the day in Revati Nakshatra. So Revati starts at about 16 degrees 40 minutes Pisces. So at the beginning of Thursday, the moon is just in the final degrees of Revati, and then we'll move through that Gandanta. This is Thursday. And I wanted to just show you that Venus, you can see in this chart, Venus has already moved. This has to do with Western calendar dates versus the idea of a Vedic day being from sunrise to sunrise. So on the 14th, Venus actually moves into Gemini, but it's before sunrise. So we're counting it as Thursday. Let's not be too tight about it. So Venus moves on Thursday, so does Mercury, so does Sun, and so does the moon. The moon goes through the Gandanta, just like following Mars did on the Sunday, all on that day. So Thursday seems big to me. It seems like there's a lot of shifting going on. When the moon moves past Pisces and into Aries, it's moving into a new nakshatra too, the Ashwini. So it's joining Mars in Ashwini. So all of that combined gave me clean finish for Thursday. Clean finish. Because things are shifting. So as I suggested for Wednesday, clear out the things and let things spill out so that you can finish what's finished and cleanly move forward. So Venus going to Gemini, Mercury and Sun all at the same time going to Taurus, Moon moving through that Gandanta into Aries. This is just settling into a lot of new energy here. So let's remember also that the moon is waning. You might feel tired. So surrender into doing a little more rest and reflection. And as we're moving toward that new moon on Saturday. Okay, so Thursday's words, clean finish. Friday is May 15th. And this is going to be, so the moon starts out the day in the very end of Ashwini and then goes through Bharani. So for Friday, those are the two nakshatras that are covered. Redefine connection is my keyword choice for that day, Friday. And this is Venus's day. Venus is now newly hanging out with Jupiter in Gemini and settling in because it just shifted. But the waning moon might be telling us as Thursday and Friday come along that what's really costing you too much? What feels too heavy? What's too costly? And that may inform letting go of one thing or another as this week passes by. So again, just surrendering into that waning moon energy of like, I can't get it all done and I'm not going to overplan. It might be fun to do a little bit of socializing based on that Mercury Venus Parivartana in effect. So even though the moon is waning, you still might want to reach out and, go see a movie with a friend. That's not wrong. Go for it. All right, Saturday, the final day of the week, May 16th. So the moon starts out the day in Krittika Nakshatra and will occupy Krittika the whole day. Krittika spans between Aries and Taurus. So once the moon moves into Taurus, it slides right into conjunction with the sun. So the new moon moment will be here in Colorado around 2 p.m. next on Saturday the 16th. We're going with gentle detox for today. The moon and sun join at 2 degrees Taurus, which is a new moon, the weakest phase of the moon. However, it's also an exalted moon. Each of the planets has a point in its sign of exaltation. Every planet has a sign where it does very well. For the moon, it's Taurus, and there's an actual degree for each of those exaltation points. The moon's exaltation comes at 3 degrees Taurus, and this new moon is at 2 degrees Taurus. So that's kind of an interesting energy. It really feels like we're sliding into home. We might be tired, so make it a day off on Saturday. Gentle detox. It's good. It's a good day to honestly analyze how ego interferes with and or sometimes supports relationships. And it's a good day for integrating all the lessons you might have learned in the past month. All of the things you let go of really need to go, and then we're cleared for takeoff as the moon begins to wax, which will be Sunday the 17th. Thanks for watching today. I appreciate you taking the time to check this out, and always love your comments. If I have anything new to add with my teaching and whatnot, I will let you know. I'm working on it. It's been a rough year for Kerry, but we'll get there. All right, everybody. I hope you have a great day and week, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye.